Hello, Internet. Let's go. Trump train all day. Yep, it happened. Yeah, sorry if you guys, I think I put Trump train out there and a bunch of people unfollowed me.
Monday Night Madness.
You got it. I couldn't think of anything creative tonight, Eric. You know, if you got something good, send it to me.
I kind of like it. It's generic enough, yet probably no one's done it, so we like it.
Yeah, you know, well, I've used your name in 3 different streams now, so we got to come up with something creative. We got to come up with a show name. I think we gotta make this official, my friend.
Yeah, we gotta tie the knot. We have committal issues here.
Why'd you gotta make it a little gay right now?
Yeah, I know, but it's again, it's rock, paper, scissors. There's only 3 options there.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's get into some stuff. Well, how is everybody tonight? What we got going on? Goat Cheese Millennial, nice to see ya. Let's see. Did you see my text earlier? I want to make more of a conscious effort to interact with the chat tonight.
Yeah. We'll catch up back with you guys. But so, do you want to dive into the Iowa caucuses?
That sounded a little sexual too, the way you said it right there.
It's all going to be that's what she said, because the Iowa caucuses, they have big caucus energy, and then some of the candidates unfortunately had very small or almost non-existent caucus. And so it's just really an unfortunate situation. As we dive into the results here, this is going to determine, unfortunately, who's going to continue on, at least for one of the big contenders. And so we'll tease that. But Michael, do you want to set the table, or do you want me to dive into it?
Well, I mean, we know Trump won Iowa. It came out. It was like, I mean, this was fast. This was really fast. So I don't even really know how the caucuses work. So,
well, okay, it's just one of those things. Like, he won by a margin enough where, like, we can comfortably call it. But now we're getting into the nitty gritty of how much did he win by. Looks like he's got a 50% plus, plurality, and then and a vast majority of a plurality. And then on top of that, we're going to see how much he dominated by, kind of like in college football, where the score matters and how much you win by helps get into, the next round. But yeah, Haley and DeSantis, that's really where now we're looking. That's where the true race is, because we knew Trump.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. This is we're just hanging out. We're just talking shit. So thanks for joining. Is Haley and DeSantis are really number 2 and 3? Like, how is Vivek not number 2?
Vivek, here's the issue with Vivek. He is
Vivek. Sorry.
Well, whatever. He's gonna have to get more than the votes he's gotten so far for me to really nail his name. But Vivek, okay, Vivek, he is a quasi-Trump surrogate, meaning that he's just going to go out there and parrot Trump's policies. He's not going to ever directly attack Trump, because he understands he doesn't want to alienate the MAGA base.
Well, Trump went at him last night, right?
Yeah, and we can get into that in a little bit, but really
fake.
Yeah, I mean, it was just to kind of show dominance. It's just kind of exert big dog energy there, I'm still king of the block here. But Vivek is just running like Kamala did or Buttigieg did last time. Not talking about their policies. I'm saying that Buttigieg and Harris, they were running to get on the winning team. And that's what they did. They ended up being in the Biden administration. They weren't running to actually win, And so Vivek is probably in that category. He's looking more towards 2028, building his profile, which he has done tremendously, to the point where you even think, oh, he should be getting more votes, because he does have a high level of respect within the MAGA base. Now, what you just said earlier, that might have changed some things. What did you think of that whole story?
What, Trump going at him? I don't think.
Vivek and his staffers wearing this shirt like that said "Save Trump, vote Vivek."
I didn't even see that. Yeah, that's
what it stemmed from, was the staffers. They got this shirt, and they had a bunch of young Iowa caucus goers wear this shirt that said "Save Trump by voting for Vivek."
I don't get it. How does
it's saying, it's very disingenuous, to be fair. The very shallow argument is that, well, since Trump is going to be taken off the ballot, vote Vivek. And this was truly the first Ramaswamy moment where even MAGA was like, you're just glomming onto Trump and using his court cases to get you votes in the Iowa caucus. This is cheap. So that might have actually hurt him considerably, because the only base he had was MAGA, who might not be like fully into Trump. But there is such a almost justified paranoia about Trump because he has had so many court cases. His MAGA really just wants to, really just dominate the scoreboard, put as much of a space in between anybody that's coming in second as possible. And so this is just where we're at with that. So yeah, this is kind of what we expected, to be fair.
Yeah, Vivek says, I agree with Vivek more than I agree with Trump. Like, I agree with what Vivek says more than I agree with things Trump's done. Like Trump said some shit about red flag laws, his bump stock ban, all sorts of stuff that Trump, obviously his COVID policies, letting Fauci run roughshod, like just tons of things that I don't like that Trump did. But I know what I'm going to get out of him. Vivek says all the right things, all of them. I don't trust it. He's just too slick, bro. And he pulls off the aviator jacket thing that he wears. Just look. How do you look that good in that jacket? I don't trust him. Eric.
Well, with Vivek, yes. Vivek versus Trump, it's much easier to say things than to do things. And so Trump, through 4 years of being an executive in the presidency, he's going to have to, some of his actions are going to upset you. Yes, Vivek aces the test, just like he did in school, of what the things to say on the campaign. But it is very reminiscent of a more skilled Hillary Clinton, who was just pandering to each audience she encountered and was just not as skilled and was a little overt and a little obvious. Here's the thing. I like Vivek. Vivek has retweeted me. Shout out to your boy Vivek. But yeah, a couple of my clips. But what I would say about Vivek is, I have this clip of him, the first clip I did, and it was him at the NRA convention. And it's him starting off with the caveat of like, I'm not a gun guy, but, and then he goes into this whole diatribe about the AR-15. It stands for freedom. And it was.
He really did that? He really did that?
Oh, yes. We can pull up the clip. And it's like he basically did. So I'm not a gun guy, but I'm going to give you my best impression of what a gun guy is.
I'm not a huge. Well, yeah, I'm a gun guy. I'm just not. I haven't been a gun guy for a long time, so I don't. There's tons of people that know way more than me, and I'm not great, but
it was very illustrative of his style of campaigning. I'm not a gun guy, but I'm going to give you the best, slickest answer I can give on guns. And I'm going to try and ace the test for the NRA folks and every other crowd that I encounter. And that's where I got Hillary Clinton vibes. And trust me, what I'm saying is a much more skilled, I guess I should maybe say a Bill Clinton kind of a vibe. But Bill Clinton, you didn't understand that he was pandering to you. He was charming. Vivek is more on the pander side, to be fair. And again, I think he has run by far the best campaign of 2024. More than Trump, more than Biden, anybody. He has ran the best campaign. He has elevated his stature more than anybody. He still has to get to the point where his actions match his rhetoric for us to really trust him. And honestly, 4 more years. And this is why he's playing 2028. He's not playing 2024. In terms of everyone else and in their prospects for 2028, they are looking up at Vivek, especially if, obviously Trump wins.
Let's see. Wally World be Sizzo. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining in. Yeah, so what happens now? Who's going on? Who's going to drop out? What's the deal?
October 4th, I did a Twitter space, literally called the obituary / autopsy of the DeSantis campaign. People were upset.
Hi, Eric.
Cute dog. My cats are just huddling around the heat right now. It's Dallas. We're going through the freeze. my heater. Let's pray to God, knock on wood, that it survives. It's struggling, but anyways, the we're looking at where we're at with the campaign. I talked about the obituary and the autopsy of the DeSantis campaign, October 4th. And people were like, oh, you're a little rushing to judgment. And I was just really predicting where we're at today, which is that he has not allocated his resources properly. I said that, he has spent his money more irresponsibly than Shaq his rookie year. Because Shaq got an aquarium inside of his car, but that may be crazy. He wasn't paying people to tweet for him, like and say nice things about him. Like that's really what the DeSantis campaign wasted their money on, which is online surrogates and a lot of, we're gonna have this ground campaign in Iowa, and they put all their eggs into this basket of Iowa. No other campaign did we're going to go for the first state strategy. We're going to put all of our eggs in that basket and try to roll momentum onward. Only the DeSantis campaign did that. And it looks like they're going to get a third place for it. And that's probably going to be the final nail in the coffin of the campaign. And if you go to that space, October 4th, that is the spot where I predicted it would occur.
So where are they at? Let's see. So has anybody, do we know who's going to drop out? What's
DeSantis
DeSantis
is the one that's going to look like they're going to drop out. So here's the thing. All these other people running, they were all under one umbrella, essentially, the Never Trump faction. Only Vivek was in the MAGA faction plus. He just wanted to be part of the campaign, kind of. He wanted to elevate his stature. Everyone else,
landslide is trending.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is what was expected, except for all the people who had an agenda to try to prop up all the other candidates who weren't for Trump. The realists were telling you this was where we're going to be at. This is, you didn't have to be a genius to figure this one out. This is actually the prevailing opinion of honest people and normal people, and honestly most people. There were some loud people in the media and the influencers who were paid, but that's another story. So in the end, the DeSantis campaign, they are going to look at a shakeup here because they were the only ones going for this strategy. And everyone in the Never Trump coalition, they have been knocked off, because eventually you need to take all their votes and consolidate them into one candidate. And it looks like Nikki Haley is going to be that candidate going forward and not DeSantis. And the corollary to that is like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, and all the others. They had to kind of figure out, okay, who's going to be the one to really go after Trump, and they all had to kind of divide it up eventually. Ted Cruz last time won Iowa. I mean, to have, again, Trump broke George Bush's record here for biggest victory, it looks like.
What was it?
In the opener. We don't know yet because it's still like being tabulated, but as it's being tracked now, it looks like he will set the record. And so this is just, there is no momentum for any other Trump candidate. So they need to create momentum by saying, hey, DeSantis people, we're taking your whole movement and we're adding it to Haley. Good luck to Haley, and we'll see. And then Ramaswamy, there's no pressure for him to jump out. He's self-funded. So he's going to stay into it as long as he's getting camera time. The moment that he stops getting attention, that's when he'll drop out. And he'll be like, okay, we're wasting money here. But in my opinion, he's probably going to go to the end. Think of Trump like Lance Armstrong, and think of Vivek as like one of his biking teammates, trying to guide him on, to the finish line. It is kind of collaborative effort. Even if Trump isn't saying, oh, you're on my team, Vivek is an ambulance chaser, essentially. Be like, I want to be on your team. And it might work. I mean, again, it worked for Kamala. It worked for Buttigieg. So we'll see.
All right, let's watch this clip from Fox News and see what they're saying about it.
Cool.
Sorry, stand by. All right, here we go.
And especially when it comes to that MAGA voter, it's
they
telling
fixed
us
my
a
audio.
lot about how President Trump is having a really good night there in Iowa. Take a look. This is some of the key findings so far when it comes to the MAGA supporters in our Fox News analysis. More than 6 in 10 of them, of those caucus goers that identify as MAGA, the vast majority of them, close to 8 in 10, it is revealed, are breaking for Donald Trump. He still appears to be king of the MAGA world, 77% of them. But looking at the moderate...
Look at these numbers, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
These numbers are insane.
And again, this is about what was expected from any realist, and even people who are trying to couch it. I had Trump fan friends who are literally, they just spend all their energy trashing DeSantis, and I find it admirable as someone who made a film about Fauci. But they do. But even then, they kind of overstepped their projections of what DeSantis would get. I'm like, you guys are respecting the the dragon of what you expect DeSantis to be. He's not that big. He's a paper tiger here. You could see that the campaign struggled to get a foothold. And to be fair to DeSantis, he was given incredibly terrible advice. The people who told him to run now, they were doing it not in DeSantis's best interest. They were doing it in the best interest of themselves and trying to attack Trump. And he really should have sat this out and waited till 2028. He would be in the position Ramaswamy is in, which is the heir apparent to MAGA.
All right, let's see what they keep saying here.
Voters, this is a key group that we were watching heading into Iowa. This appears to give some hope to Nikki Haley. Now, when it comes to those moderate voters, she doesn't beat Donald Trump there, but she's well ahead of DeSantis and Ramaswamy among moderate voters. This may reflect something about her potential strength in a general election. So
the only people that I know that like Nikki Haley are Democrats. I don't know. I haven't met a single conservative or Republican or libertarian that likes Nikki Haley.
Well, to be fair, so the media is trying, especially the mainstream media, they do not like Trump. So they are desperate to prop up one of these never Trump coalition candidates. They've been having Chris Christie on endlessly until he ended his campaign. And so they've been trying to prop up whoever could take the mantle. And so right now, clearly, Haley is the queen of that mantle. DeSantis is donezo. At least Haley has the one mark of the, not Republican portion of the Republican Party, the independents. Yes, she has them in droves compared to everybody else, because that's basically the entire Never Trump coalition right in the independent party right there. That's represented right there. That's the Never Trump coalition. She is, and then look at DeSantis's 8%. Look how juicy that is. You take that and you put that on Haley's right now. That's what the warmongers and the people at Boeing are looking at. They're like, okay, we're getting her closer. That's how you take away the loser, and now you add them to Haley's, and now in a one-on-one or a 1-on-1 plus Ramaswamy, and then you're going to have much clearer choices, and now we'll have a second go at it. Now, in terms of Haley, she's actually looking pretty close to Trump in the next state, New Hampshire, and then South Carolina is her state. So there's potential she could build a little momentum. I doubt it, but the mainstream media is going to tell you about this all day, every day, to try and self-fulfilling prophecy, manifest this into being, because that's what they want. And they've been trying to do this with DeSantis. I've seen DeSantis on Morning Joe as much as I've seen Chris Christie. They've been trying to build up DeSantis too. The mainstream media has really been giving him quite the shot. He was on Bill Maher, and still he didn't resonate.
Yeah. Nikki Haley's the worst.
So that is a key takeaway. Now let's take a look at another very key group there in Iowa, and that is the evangelical Christian voter. This is a sizable group in Iowa. We all know that. We've been watching that heading into Iowa. with this group. DeSantis courted them, was even endorsed by Bob Vanderplaats, as we know, but they love Donald Trump. DeSantis is 40 points behind him and just 5 points ahead of Haley. All right, so another key finding.
So when I was watching the media right before we were coming on, and this was more like NBC, CNN, etc., MSNBC, they were lamenting the fact that, all these different poll markers that we use and all these different things to track and predict what could tell us the results of the Iowa caucus, we can't rely on those. And they were talking about the endorsement that Ron DeSantis received from Kim Reynolds, the Iowa governor, and the endorsements he received from various Iowa newspapers and endorsements he received from various Iowa, politicians that weren't the governor. And yeah, none of that mattered. And they talked about, Donald Trump said this thing that insulted evangelicals, and he did this thing. And they're trying to grasp at straws and find anything. And everyone is basically, and they were even saying, I can't believe that they are voting for somebody with 91 felony counts, trying to lecture the audience. Like, how dare you vote for Donald Trump after we've been trying to rig the choice against you? What it clearly shows you is they're truly afraid of Donald Trump. Obviously, that's why they're trying to remove him from the choice, because if they've been trying to tell you for a couple of years, they're trying to act tough and be like, we hope that they run Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to be the easiest choice for us to run against. I heard this ad nauseum on Morning Joe every morning. And guess what? It looks like, no, this is the freight train you are so afraid to tackle on, because it is building momentum and it is gathering coalitions that have been unprecedented in the Republican Party up until this point. And you're seeing Hispanics and Black people really actually come to the Republican Party. And you're seeing Muslims and Jews stray away from the Democrat Party, may not vote Republican, but they won't vote, unless the Democrat Party votes for them. But that's the kind of situation we're at, is they're really bothered by this momentum and the meltdown on liberal media that I heard, the conniption fit. I can't believe they still voted for Donald Trump after all the brainwashing we tried to put on you, all the lecturing, all the condescending from Mount Pius, looking down on you. Don't you dare pick Donald Trump, you peasants, you rednecks. Well, guess what? We shoved it in your face again today in minus 30-degree wind chill weather.
All right, let's get to this video really quick.
With Trump is the fact that he is still facing multiple investigations and indictments. So we put the question to voters. This, for the most part, does not appear to be a factor for caucus goers. Look at this. More than half think the former president did nothing wrong on January 6th. Half think the same about interference in the 2020 election. That bumps down to 4 in 10, as you can see, when it comes to classified documents at his Florida home. Overall, though, Iowa Republicans think the investigation into the former president are political, not legitimate. So take a look at this. Another key finding and a question that we put to voters when it comes to those Trump charges. Close to 8 in 10 say the charges against Trump are political. Only 2 in 10 say legitimate. And speaking of legitimate, more than 6 in 10 caucus goers.
All right, you know what? I don't care about these numbers anymore, because they're all just arbitrary. Pull them out of your ass. How did you conduct these surveys? I don't trust any of these numbers, so I'm done with her. You got any? Oh, you're muted, Eric.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me break that down for you. She basically just did the Fox News version of what I just talked about.
Yeah, I know. She starts talking about. Yeah, she's.
It's shocking that they didn't care about the indictments. It's shocking that they didn't care about January 6th. It's like, yeah, no shit. all your brainwashing that you've been attempting for years, yeah, it's not working, and you're scared. This is the first true moment where they get to see actual numbers in negative 30 degree weather. I mean, this shows you how much enthusiasm is in the Trump base versus the rest of the options. And this is what really scares them, is because they're thinking, we couldn't get 10 people out to vote in negative 30. We have to mail in all our ballots. You know, this is frightening how much they are truly enthused about their candidate.
Well, on that note of the ballots stuff, that's the stuff that I really want to get into, because, dude, I've been looking into these California elections, and the closer I look, the more insane it gets. I want to talk about Prop 47 first, but let's talk about the election stuff first, because
Would love to.
dude, the more I look into California elections, the more insane it gets, dude. Everything is like, if you take just one of like the 6 different things that are insane that California does, each individual one of those things could throw the entire election, could rig the ballots, rig the whole thing. Just listen to all these different things that they have. So let me go to my folder here. So one of the things, well, I sort of listed them out, and let me find the one I'm looking for here.
Let's see if you actually even get them all, because I have like 3 or 4 in my head, and I want to see if you.
I'll probably. Yeah, you're right. I'll probably miss some. Yeah,
I know your 6 are 6 legitimate ones. I'm just seeing if we if you cover them, or we add a 10.
Well, let me just say the ones off the top of my head, because I have them listed out, and I was going to read them, but I mean, I probably don't even need to look them up. So you've got ballot harvesting, obviously, right? So just ballot harvesting right there. You're now going to take your campaign team, because now that I'm running, it's like I have to focus on where I'm spending my resources and stuff. So if there's ballot harvesting, I have to spend more time having my team ballot harvest than door knock. You know what I mean? Especially because California does this month-long voting thing.
Oh, well, may I give a counter?
Please, yeah.
Well,
I don't know about
as
a counter.
As the co-creator of American History of Voter Fraud, we would remind you that the 3 most vulnerable types of votes that you can vote are absentee, early, and by mail. The securest form is in person, by mail. Now, the really truly unfortunate part is ballot harvesting. Yes, is legal in California, but they can weaponize doing so. So even in states where ballot harvesting is legal, you'll see often that the laws are selectively applied to certain candidates that don't that are challenging the predominant agenda, challenging an incumbent. And so this is why you truly do need to worry about your voting base relying upon voting by those 3 forms. Whereas I would advocate, it would be better to advocate for people to vote in person on election day. Now, in the context of your situation, you have to say, we want all the votes. Yes, I totally understand that. But it's a quality of vote in the sense that, most often the election officials, we have covered this, it's a 200-year history of election officials manipulating your ballots when they have more time and access to them. And absentee, early, and mail-in, they all provide more time and access for the election officials to tamper with your vote. Okay. So, I mean, we show in the film election officials like carrying your votes in shopping bags and then counting them at the politician's home, and so this is a major issue. You don't want to have your vote be that way. Now, Michael is just in a context where the vast majority of votes are going to be the 3 insecure types. Because, that is a big factor of what it is. And for those who don't even know, really quick, what is ballot harvesting? So this is when someone goes out and collects the ballot. And it's not just somebody, it is a liaison for an election official. That is who pays people to do this. And it's not the election official giving the money directly to the liaison typically, because then that would implicate them. It's usually done through like a third-party company. But those people are trying to scale up the voter fraud to give the election official more time and access to a larger scale of ballots. So this is why ballot harvesting is such a big issue for Michael.
All right. Well, we're getting way off in the weeds here. I'm just trying to get a list now. So I want to list off all the insane things about California voting. So ballot harvesting is the first one. But here, let me just get the list before we go and like start hammering each one. So you got ballot harvesting, right? You've got no voter ID. You don't need to, it's actually illegal for them to ask for voter ID. You've got,
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
So yeah, we don't need to explain it. So ballot harvesting, voter ID, everyone gets sent a ballot. Everyone is sent a ballot. The DMV apparently automatically registers people through the DMV database and sends them a ballot. And then you say, well, what about party affiliation? So I don't know how they do that. I don't know if they leave it no party affiliation, but apparently people are being registered as Democrats by the DMV. Now, California, illegal immigrants can get state IDs. From my understanding, there's a lot of illegal immigrants that are getting.
Is this
ballots.
like, are we at number 5 yet on this?
No.
Are we still at subset or number 4?
Kinda. Well, this is, I mean, these are all different.
The DMV, I remember is number 4, and that's an excellent point we cover in the film.
And then I guess since I believe it was like 1994, in order to,
you did cover it. Good job.
All you have to do is say I'm a citizen and check a box. That's all you have to do. So if you're here, yeah. And there's no verification whatsoever. It's an honor system. You just have to check a box. And it's been like that since the 90s. But now they're actually trying to make it, like Santa Ana, California, is trying to make it legal for illegal immigrants to vote in local elections. And I don't know if that means state elections as well. But if you make it legal for illegal immigrants to vote in local elections, what are you going to have completely different ballots when there's a presidential election? Are you just going to leave the president? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that?
Just really quick, what you're discussing, Santa Ana, that's just them overtly saying illegal immigrants can vote in the election. What you've already discussed, they already can vote in elections. They just have to say that they are a citizen. Just really quick. I just wanted to confirm, because that's a great point.
Yeah, it's insanely frustrating. And then I think the last thing that I could think of off the top of my head is how Gavin Newsom signed a bill making it illegal to hand count ballots. You know that, right? Did you know that one? Is that news to you? I usually don't surprise you.
There is the infamous case of Shasta County.
Yeah.
And this is the response.
Right.
But I didn't know Gavin Newsom was the one who did a state decree on that. That's hilarious.
He signed a bill. Yeah. Yeah. And so there's this documentary called Red, White, and Blueprint about Shasta County. Shasta County is insanely corrupt. Like, you should watch that documentary. It's like a 9-part documentary. It's great. Red, White, Blueprint. But that, after Shasta County said, we're not using Dominion, we're going to hand count all our ballots. Shortly after, there's a assembly bill put forward, I believe, or Senate bill. I don't know. And Gavin Newsom ended up signing it. It's law. So here, I got it pulled up. Here, so
9 parts. I can't get over that.
I don't know if it's 9.
I was like, they need an editor.
It might be 3. Well, it was more like a TV series almost.
Okay. Okay.
Well, okay. This is Prop 47. So, crap. I guess I didn't have it pulled up.
Well, and then while you're looking, let me just add context to your list. So, not only everything what Michael said was true, but the real big thing with the illegals being registered by the DMV. So, yeah, sometimes the DMV would just register large batches of illegals and just change their birthplace officially on their records to California or the United States and making them officially eligible to vote. So this isn't even like they have to lie and say they're a citizen. They're actually officially eligible to vote. And so that's how entangled our system becomes, to where there's so much what they call dirty names on the rolls. Dirty names isn't a comment on the people. It's just commenting on the inaccuracy of the name on the list. And so there are so many dirty names on the list that it actually makes it hard to police. Even Ken Paxton, the attorney general in Texas, was commenting on mail-in ballots make it impossible to police an election and really truly go back and verify if a vote is fraudulent or not.
Here we got a couple. Let's check in with the chat really quick. So V1800, I don't know how many elections are made. It's irrelevant. Oh, I don't know. Oh, he's talking about Trump. I don't care how many allegations are made. Yeah, for sure. What up, Pete Grabber? Nice to see you. He also decriminalized sexually transmitting HIV after being advised by a medical professional that one is infected. Yeah, that was actually a bill put forth. I think that was put forth by Scott Wiener. V1800, the bar has not met a low Newsom will not stoop to. Yeah, for real. So this is the hand counting ballots thing. So this is from ABC News. California Gavin Newsom signed legislation into law Wednesday that will limit the ability of local governments to manually count ballots less than a year after one northern county's governing board ditched its contract with the Dominion voting systems and decided to tabulate results by hand. And that's Shasta County that we're talking about. So Shasta County is pretty based. If you guys don't know it, Shasta County's red. And their government was all run by Democrats. It was like there was tons of scams going on where people would try to build on their property. And there was like, they would shake people down and they would withhold permits from people. It just all sorts of shady stuff. But, so here, set to go into effect immediately. Oh, okay. Set to go into effect immediately. The law deals a blow to Shasta County's conservative majority board of supervisors, which voted 3-2 in January to cancel its contract with Dominion amid a flurry of unsubstantiated conspiracy theories about the company in the wake of the 2020 election, leaving it without a way to conduct election for a time. In response, the state legislators introduced an overwhelmingly passed AB 969 in September, which allows hand counting under narrow circumstances during regularly scheduled elections in places with under 1,000 registered voters and special elections with fewer than 5,000 voters. It will also block counties from concealing contracts for voting systems in the future without a transition plan and a finalized agreement for a new state-approved system. Oh boy. So how can you justify this to people as being good for the voter? What steelman this for me?
So in the end, just in reality, just in American history of voter fraud, we actually cover this. Every machine involved in the voting process, they even will tell you, the election officials will tell you, is not there for accuracy, is there for speed. And actually the machines increase the inaccuracy. And so, for instance, the optical scanners, which just scan the ballots, that increases the error rate by up to 5%. And then just think about all the other machines that are involved and how they can increase the error rate. And so a Dominion voting machine or any other voting machine is connected to the internet. And we actually have footage of an election official describing that in the deleted scenes of American History of Voter Fraud that we will be publishing this year.
Before the 2000, like 2010s, 2015, somewhere in that range, there was tons of leftists talking about how easily hackable these machines are. Like, it was all over the place. There's tons of Bernie bros talking about this, like leading up to.
Yeah, to be fair, HBO did the most prominent lefty voter fraud documentary on this during this time. It was called Kill Chain, and it was about hacking, into the voting machines. And it was all right. They actually didn't have a lot of hard evidence, to be fair, but it was on the concept of you could hack into voting machines. They were talking about the concept of it and how it could be done. And they did show a lot of people literally hacking into the voting machines. That's undeniable. They kind of got into this grand thing about like how some place like Russia could do it. And we haven't really seen that yet in the American history of voter fraud. We haven't had that documented. But
you're doing the wrong thing right now. You're supposed to be steel manning this, Eric.
What's steel manning? I've never heard that. Is that like straw man?
It's the opposite of straw man. So you're supposed to take how could this possibly be good? So Gavin Newsom,
devil's advocate, bro.
Yeah. So what's a good reason for Gavin Newsom to do this? How could it possibly be good for the voter to make it illegal to hand count ballots? How is this good for the voter? Steel man.
Crap. So I just told you the opposite, but they would make you they would say that actually the machines increase the accuracy, and because taking out the human and the human error will do that. But the issue is we show you their excuse for every machine glitch and vote machine error in American history of voter fraud history is that they call it a human error. And it's like, so the human had the error with the machine. And so it's very circuitous, their logic. But yeah, that would be their argument, is that it would increase the accuracy because you're removing a potential person committing fraud by just having a machine. But then the obvious thing is, well, you can tamper with the machine, and therefore who controls the machine, yada, yada, yada. Now, I just really want to quickly make clear. There's been there's been over 100 years of documented voter fraud and election rigging in American history before machines not connected to the internet were introduced in 1909. Then we had those go for a while, and then because of Hava and the 2000 election, we took a small portion of our voting machines being electronic, and we made it pretty much ubiquitous.
Talking about because the hanging chads.
Yes, that prompted everything. That
was when they like manually punched them, right?
Yeah, and that was pretty small considering the margins. Like I said, the optical scanners and all these other things, they knock out ballots at much higher rates. So it was kind of all much ado about nothing in that little circumstance.
So, I mean, we're talking about a tiny aspect of this right now. We're talking about the voting machines, and we're talking about, so two different things, the voting machines and then making it so you can't hand count ballots. That's just a tiny aspect of what's going on in California. Like I said, we've got the universal mail-in ballots, right? So just everything you add compounds it, because the mail-in ballots makes the voter machines and the not hand counting them even worse, because now you have all these mail-in ballots that are easily.
Well, I guess my question to you, out of all the things you listed, what do you think is the biggest issue? What would be the first thing you would want to tackle if you had the power to do so, hypothetically?
That's a good question. What would have the biggest impacts on the accuracy
on your list?
I think universal mail-in ballots. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Very good.
Yeah. I think it's just that universal mail-in ballots. And then there's this whole other thing of, dude, so many people have direct messaged me after I put out a thing about everybody getting registered by the DMV to vote. So many people sent me direct messages or like, yeah, dude, I got like 7 ballots at my house, and they're all in these different names, people that haven't lived there for years. Dude, this is happening all over the place. Just you get a ballot, you get 7 ballots. Like, it's madness. They're just sending ballots everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. And it's because once you do that, even the person who wants to prosecute voter fraud more than any person in this country currently, Ken Paxton, what he has said, it's almost impossible to verify a fraudulent or non-fraudulent vote with mail-in ballots in the system, because it just clogs up everything. and so many people get sent fraudulent votes, and then those can be harvested, and then yada yada yada. It just makes it so convenient for the people rigging the election, because what does it do? It takes our constitutional right of a election day and it extends it into an election week and election month.
I didn't know until yesterday that California gets a whole freaking month. What is
Most
this?
states get a month now to do all the absentee, early, and mail. And this is really, it's a violation of the constitutional right to have it on election day, not election month and election year, election day.
So these aren't elections. This isn't an election. I don't know what you call it, but this is not an election.
Can I describe it? This is the Amazon priming of your election. They're just mail-in balloting everything everywhere, because all they need is in a couple of business days. Oh, we're down in Michigan. Send us 80,000 votes to the TCF Center. Prime it. Amazon Prime it.
There's nothing we can do? We got 11 months. There's nothing we can do.
The Republicans, if they weren't corrupt and complete directionless ship, if they knew what they were doing, they would have focused primarily on voter ID, focused on the three types of voting I'm talking about: absentee, mail-in, and early, and really discourage those and encourage in-person voting by doing what? Making election day a national holiday so that everyone can freaking vote and not have to worry about getting off work. Some basics, not rocket science. Anybody can think of that. This isn't even like the advanced stuff that is fun to get into. Like you should live stream every facility that has an election official in it, especially when they're counting your ballots, and that the public should have access to that footage in perpetuity. And it wouldn't be that hard because all these facilities already have security cameras. But I digress. But they're really it's just those main three things: voter ID, mail-in votes, absentees, earlies, and make voting on election day a national holiday. It's not that hard.
The early mail-in votes that come in a month before freaking the election day, like all those ballots, are they counted immediately, or is everything counted in one day?
So there's two parts to that. Coincidentally, you see in American History of Voter Fraud, when they're looking for votes that they need to count at the end to get over the top, when they pause the count and they're like, okay, we got this many votes to count. Usually it's absentees, mail-ins, and earlies. It's not in-person votes. So they'd like to take a portion of the earlies, mail-ins, and absentees and collect them for that little boost head start, and to kind of track and project what the margin is going to be. And don't take my word for it. Ken Paxton actually laid this out and described how they do this. This isn't Eric telling you. This is Ken Paxton telling you. I'm relaying. And so in the end, they are trying to predict the margin and trying to, okay, so we've already taken in this many votes. We know, okay, we're ahead by this much. Okay, we only need this much more now to really seal in the victory and mathematically eliminate our opponent. That's what they are trying to do. And the mail-ins, earlies, and absentees gives them a whole election month to figure out the numbers.
So this is so frustrating.
Oh, it's a big thing to unentangle. And for your situation, you're going to have to play by the rules as it stands. And unfortunately, that's like playing a football game where they're going to throw a flag on you every single time, and they can do 10 times worse and they won't get called for it.
Do you know how deep blue my district is too?
Yeah. You're in California, which, by the way, many red areas of California went blue for the first time in however long once they did the all mail-in balloting in 2018 and made that truly official across the state, including Orange County, which hadn't been blue since the 1930s.
Orange County went blue? No way.
During 2018. They swept. They got swept.
That doesn't.
Coincidentally, the Democrats swept Red Orange County when all mail-in balloting was implemented. That's how you got Katie Porter, who's now running for Senate. She won that year for the first time.
This isn't exactly confidence building, Eric. So what about registered voters versus existing ballots?
Let me build up some confidence for you. They have to do all of this because they are so afraid that people like you can actually win. There was a truck driver named Edward Durr who beat a guy who was an incumbent for 20 years, and he didn't even spend $5,000 on his whole damn campaign.
That's what I'm planning on doing.
New Jersey State Senate. Okay, the same damn thing you're doing. Edward Durr, legend. Okay,
well, they're starting to trip out. Like I'm already getting, I'm getting traction, man. And I'm supposed, dude, it's crazy. The people.
You're the next Edward Durr. Okay, and he shocked the whole system, and it was just a local election, but it showed people. It wasn't even $5,000. And in reality, even if you were generous, initially he was like, I spent $200 on it. And then when you allocated all this other stuff, it was like $5,000, but he didn't spend much. He spent like $200 of his own money, 5,000 of all of his campaign money. Like, people donated and stuff. Like, it's incredible.
But it doesn't, their elections aren't as insane as California's though.
Incorrect. New Jersey has a longer history of voter fraud in terms of like pound for pound. Yes, in California is like one of the predominant states we go over in the American history of voter fraud, but it's one of the 5 most significant states, right? Of course, it's going to have a ton of voter fraud. New Jersey and Louisiana have this way disproportionate amount of voter fraud historically, and they've always had it. And it really doesn't make that much sense considering how many electoral votes they have, but they're as crooked of states as you'll come by, and they continually come up in the American history of voter fraud. You can do it. All you need to do is squeak through the cracks, because they have this whole like system of like all this illusion set up of, oh, we're so powerful. It really does take a truck driver or some guy named Michael Oxford to really come through and pull this off. You can do it, my friend. I'm just telling you, you are actually, this is truly David v. Goliath, and you should be proud of your David status when you take down Goliath.
Well, it's just funny because John Laird's tiny and I'm 6'6". But
that's right. That's funny because I'm really short, man. We've never really talked about that, but that we
are you? My best friend's tiny. My best friend's tiny. We've been best friends since I was like 12.
I'm 5'3" and 3/8. So imagine that. I got measured at school and they wouldn't even give me 5'3.5".
I'm gonna carry you around in a backpack when we meet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're a fun match. You're 6'6".
Yeah, but dude, I'm always this tall, so it's normal to me. Everybody always freaks out, but I forget that I'm tall, so because I'm always this tall. So when I walk around and there's a little old lady sitting next to me, it's how tall are you?
That's your campaign slogan, Michael Oxford. I'm 6'6".
No, somebody had a funny one earlier. Heidi, what's her name? I can't remember. Heidi on Twitter. She has something funny. I'm not even gonna say it online, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of funny campaign slogans. Fuck you. No, really was my sorry, Shelly. I know you don't like it when I say that word. That really was the campaign slogan I wanted to go with. Fuck you. No.
So you're saying no to I'm 6'6", but fuck you. No. Yeah. Totally cool.
I don't like talking about my height too. Well, that's not true. I always talk about my height. I genuinely don't like being this tall. Like it's not, if you're not like a
shut up.
I don't. I have to duck slightly under doorways. I can't drive small cars. It gets in my way.
Like, I hate having boobs this big. It's so ridiculous.
Bro, I'm single. Yeah, I don't get chicks. It's not as much of as an advantage as you think it is. But I'm going to die before you do, Eric. It's not. It's not.
Did
great.
you listen to him carefully, audience? He just said he doesn't get chicks.
I don't
Think of the subtext there. What does he get then?
It's not. I'm not an incel though. It's more like I'm more like a vol cell. If that
Yeah,
makes
it
sense.
sounds like he's getting something. So
No, I'm not.
but
I'm not.
it's
I
not
haven't been
women.
well. No, I don't, dude. California, COVID ruined dating for me in California.
Yeah.
Ruined it. Dude, I went through like a transformation 5 years ago. I quit drinking and I started trail running and I moved to the Santa Cruz Mountains. So I went from being like a schlub. I was really, overweight, drinking all the time. My skin looked really bad. I was just, it was just bad. I was unhealthy. And then I started running all the time and I got super fit. And, before COVID, I sort of went a little crazy with I might have been a little bit of a man whore. And then COVID happened and it was like the exact opposite. Dude, I had a liberal girlfriend and yeah, everything changed. There's no way I could date that girl now. Like everything, and not because I don't like her liberalism would bother me so much, even though it would. She like hates me because of my opinions. There's so many people
The other way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many people now that hate me. That
By
just
the way,
straight up hate me.
Remember, they're the open-minded ones.
Right. No, dude, it's funny. It's funny how many people have just distanced themselves from me. My buddy Phil just stopped talking to me. I don't know why.
Phil, what the hell, man?
I know, Phil, filthy.
You would have loved this conversation.
I know. People are different in California now, particularly women. It's the dating market. If you're a conservative, if you're a conservative guy in Santa Cruz area, bro, it's slim pickings around here.
Went
bro.
from California to Gomorrah. It is a different place. It is like truly much more demonic in society. And I don't use that term lightly. As a Jew, I almost never use that term. I see it used all the time, and I see
What is it?
Demonic.
Oh,
but I really truly think like there is this obsession, like in the music industry in Hollywood, for instance, you can't like really sell a record if your name isn't Taylor Swift, if you're not like worshiping the devil and doing all this like satanic stuff.
bro, have you seen Out of the Darkness?
No.
Bro, I watched that documentary last night. So it's mainly an interview with this guy that was a stuntman in Hollywood. Have you heard about this? I can't remember his name.
I'm okay. Now I may have heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I think I know what you're talking about.
You got to watch this documentary, dude. This Hollywood is so messed up, man. So messed up. And there's so many freaking dots connecting people. Like the Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, all the Hollywood people, the chicks that would like I can't remember her name. There's this one chick that would like put all these parties together that would get all the elites in the same room where they try to get them to do, they would try to get compromising information on them, and how connected so many of these people are. And then basically like what you just said, you're not going to make it up onto that big giant stage with all those people if you don't do whatever. And he was saying that there's two different things that they do in Hollywood. It's not just that they blackmail everybody and they get people in compromising positions. The other thing is and this is just what he's saying. I'm not saying I do believe it. I do believe this, but I'm not saying that it's proven. But the two things that they do is the first one is the blackmail that we know all about, get people in compromising positions, right? And then use it as dirt and hold it as leverage above them. But then there's the other one where people join the club, where people start doing the satanic rituals and shit like that. And now you're part of the secret society, the Skull and Bones, where you've got where they do the things. And dude, I started going down the rabbit hole of the Satanic Church. And part of the Satanic Church, part of their thing, did you know about this? That part of their thing is they have to show who they are. Like they have to show, if you're a Satanist, you have to like let it be known through symbolism and things you do. So that's why a lot of these people, you see them with their crazy artwork. You see them doing their crazy hand symbols.
Is that why people freak out if you wear like red bottom shoes?
I don't know.
I've heard that's one of them. So if you wear like a shoe with a red bottom,
I know that if you had red laces in your Doc Martens, that was supposed to mean that you were like a white supremacist that is killed for his race back in the day. I heard that when I watched American History X a long time ago. I don't know. It might be made up. It's like the teardrop, you know?
Yeah, I thought after the whole like if you had an earring in your right ear, you were gay. I was like, this is all ridiculous. But was that a thing as well? Was that also?
I don't know. But I will say, remember Barry Bonds had the long hanging cross from his left ear. It was left ear, but it's still kind of, I don't know. Leave that be.
Yeah.
Yeah. To watch the Out of the Darkness.
That's how he got all those home runs. Satan.
Steroids. And he was just the greatest hitter of all time. But
I'm just kidding.
We'll leave.
Oh yeah, no, I totally forgot. My bad. I that was friendly fire. I was just taking a random joke. What? I didn't mean to hit your Giants like that.
Yeah, that was rough, bro. Well, Barry Bonds too. I'm like a hardcore Barry Bonds defender to the death. Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player to ever live.
I actually really liked him, but my grandma, God rest her soul, she would always like every time he came up, he's like, "Look, his head got bigger. Look, his head got bigger." She was like, he's still
a super athlete. He does like 100-mile bike rides. He's a savage. He's on Strava. I follow him on Strava. You can track his bike rides around like the San Rafael area. He goes on gnarly ass bike rides.
Why can you track someone else's bike rides? What world are we in?
Well, no. So I got my Garmin, right? Now I'm going to talk nerd stuff. So I track every run. You know, I hit run.
He posts them, right?
So do I.
No, but I'm saying he posts them, and that's how you can track them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So Strava is a social media app for running, hiking, cycling, swimming, and that kind of thing. And
you have to brag about.
It's great. Oh, totally. Yeah. So you track your run. Yeah, it shows.
Don't pretend like it's anything else. Come on.
No, it's not. No, it's nice to track. And I use it because I see other people's routes. I like to see other people's maps. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that connected. And I can find other little routes, you know, but it shows the map of where you run. It shows your distance. It shows your elevation gain. It shows your heart rate. It shows how fast you went. So yeah, it's all those things. And it's a social media app too. So it's kind of fun. I like it because there's no political talk on it. It's just athletes getting after it, you know? So Strava's a great app. Yeah. I love it. I could do an entire podcast on trail running.
You could do like really cool historical runs like O.J. Simpson's car chase. That'd be a cool trail run.
I want to do. There's a bike ride. I would like to do the I think it's the Pacific Coast Trail that goes all the way from Canada to Mexico. One. There's like some long rucking expeditions that I want to go on, but. I plan on doing my first 100-miler this year.
What is rucking? Did we just get censored? Do we have to bleep that? What's rucking?
Rucking is like long distance hiking with a rucksack. It's where you go out and hike for a month.
Word.
Rucking.
I don't think that's necessary.
You've never heard of a rucksack? That's what the army do. I've
heard of a rucksack and stuff.
Rucking. Yeah, rucking. Rucking is hiking for like a long period of time where you camp out every night.
Redundant ass word.
It's awesome.
Redundant.
You got to come out to Santa Cruz, man. Take you in these redwoods. Freak you out. You're so short, you might get lost though.
No, I've done multiple 10,000 foot elevation peaks in Utah.
Oh, no kidding? Yeah, I've never done that.
Yeah, but that's Utah because it's the height. We're kind of cheating here. But
14,000 feet are like the big ones.
No, I said 10,000.
No, I know, but if you do 14ers, those are like the ones where you're kind of you're doing some hard stuff.
Now, one of these 10,000ers, it's like 5,000 feet of elevation gain. It's a gnarly, fun one. But yeah, I mean, I really do enjoy hiking. I think it's great. I'm just not one of those douchebags who's like, I'm rucking. You know, I just say I'm hiking. You know, I'm not pretending.
Well, it's because you're hiking and not rucking.
I certainly didn't post it on Strava. You know, my God, did Vivek Ramaswamy start that? It sounds like one of his companies, Strava.
I wonder if no, it's I think out of Norway. Yeah, it's a really cool company. Tons of people use Strava, man. Tons of
It's
people.
it's one of the most pretentious things I've ever heard. I'm gonna do a stand-up bit about it.
It's
like,
not pretentious. It's only pretentious because you don't get after it like that, man. I'm telling you, get on there. Just try it. Just go do a walk.
I've done hiking, and I had a whole time period where, because Utah, really there's much else to do, trust me. So it's like that was the best part of Utah, was the hiking. And so I loved hiking. But yeah, the social media app is hilarious, and don't you dare try and pretend it's anything else, justifying it with all these different copes. You know what
It
it
absolutely is.
bragging.
No, my favorite part about it, no, it's not. Shit, if it was bragging, I wouldn't be on there. I'm slow, dude.
Strava is
not
Norwegian for bragging like a douchebag.
Yeah, kind of. My favorite part about it is the maps, because it shows you. So it not only shows you your run, it gives you a heat map, and it shows all the trails around you that anyone has ever run on while using Strava. So you find all the trails that you didn't even know existed. It's great. Like all the trails around me, I know like the back of my hand now because of that app. Like a lot of people use all trails. That only shows you where like the mapped out trail named trails are. The Strava will show you like everywhere a person has traveled while tracking their run. It's great.
Yeah, Barry Bonds did this trail run to 6 different chicks' houses. You know,
he's a cyclist. No, my buddy Martin did Barry Bonds' house, and Barry Bonds got really mad at him and accused him of shitting in his toilet and started running after him. And my buddy Martin had to run from him. I don't know if this is true.
Wow, why did we start the podcast with that? What an amazing story. Why did we bury the lead or flush down the toilet? What are we doing?
Well, now I have to get you to talk about Martin, because Martin disowned me back in like 2014 or something. I haven't talked to him since. Symbolic T, nice to see you. You know the famous image of the dude sitting on the couch naked with the big giant that everybody puts secretly in images? You know what I'm talking about? The guy with the freaking schlong that's his arm is long as an arm. You know what I'm talking about? The black dude on the bed.
First of all, okay, audience, this is a great move. When someone's trying to describe something like this, if you pretend like you don't know what it is, God, they will seem so crazy, and it's hilarious. And then they will feel like, I'm not crazy. This is a thing.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about. So
is it like the Leonardo DiCaprio thing when he's on the couch? It's like a meme, right?
It's a naked dude. It's a naked dude with a giant wiener, and people always hide it in images, right? Well, the guy's actually got a really sad story. He actually died. But anyway, it was that image, and it was embedded in a link, and the link was, hey, I actually got free Super Bowl tickets, or I got Super Bowl tickets, but I can't go. I can't even remember what the reasoning was that I gave him. I was like, dude, I got Super Bowl tickets. I need to sell them. $500 for the pair, dude. Are you interested? And I like sent it to him, and he was like, I don't even care where the seats are. I'll buy them. I'll take it. He got permission from his wife. Like I was like, dude, you might want to click the link and just check the seats, And he was like, I don't even care where they are, dude. I don't care. I'll take them. I'm like, bro, check the link. Because I clearly didn't have Super Bowl tickets. Well, I've never talked to Martin again. Never talked to him again. He was my friend. He was like legitimately my friend. He's yeah. Never talked to me again. That joke didn't go well. I still think it's funny. Because he got permission from his wife. I guess he started like researching hotels, researching flights.
Wow.
I hope he didn't book anything. Yeah, it was bad, dude. Because I didn't tell him. I never told him. This went on for like a half an hour. I was like, dude, you want to check the link. Just trust me, you want to check the link. I never said, dude, it's fake. I just let him keep going. And yeah, well, Arden hasn't talked to me since.
Wow. It wasn't a Super Bowl victory for him. No, the agony of defeat of booking a flight and hotel before checking.
Yeah, but that story will always be a W. Are you done to keep going? Because I got some other stuff I wanted to.
Yeah, let's go till the top of the hour, and then we'll end it.
All right, cool.
There.
Okay, cool. We got 20 more minutes. Okay. So I do want to talk about Prop 47 a little bit. So a lot of people aren't aware of what Prop 47. Do you know what Prop 47 is, Eric?
Yes, but for the audience, always. And really quick, as you're explaining it, I will be right back, audience.
Perfect. All right. So Prop 47 was passed back in 2014, and this was actually a ballot initiative. This was passed by California voters. California has decided to vote on this. They decided to vote yes on Prop 47. And the way it was sold to Californians wasn't honest, if you ask me. So I want to read a few things that it did. Where the heck is it? Jeez. Sorry, folks. I got to... Sorry, I'm looking for the list of... Okay, so here it is. So these are all the different things that Prop 47 did. And this isn't the way it was sold to the public, but this is what it did. It classified certain crimes as misdemeanors instead of felonies unless the defendant has prior convictions for murder, rape, and certain sex offenses or certain gun crimes. So it permitted resentencing for those serving prison sentences for any of the offenses. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong place. Here's the crimes that it essentially decriminalized. So it took things that would be felonies and it made them misdemeanors. At the same time, California district attorneys essentially said, we're not going to prosecute misdemeanors. So it essentially decriminalized the following: shoplifting, where the value of property stolen does not exceed $950. So you guys have probably heard this one. People can go into a store and they can steal $950 or less. And if they get busted, it's just going to be a misdemeanor. So that became rampant, especially recently. That's the one that everybody knows, but people don't realize all the other things that it did. So grand theft, where the value of the stolen property does not exceed $950. So that's stealing from a person. That's not even a private company. So then this is one that I didn't realize: receiving stolen property, where the value of the property does not exceed $950. So what these two things did together, where you can steal under $950 and you can sell under $950, what this has turned into is people walking into stores in San Francisco, Oakland, wherever, filling a backpack, mainly San Francisco. I don't think they do this in Oakland. Fill a backpack with as much, it's always like laundry detergent, soap, freaking whatever, household amenities. They walk out, they walk around the corner, and there's like a late night flea market in the Tenderloin over on Market Street, where you can go there. You could buy a puppy, you could buy fentanyl, you can buy toothpaste, you can buy diapers. I mean,
it sounds better than Walmart.
It is. You know why? Because all the stuff comes from Walmart. It's and it's cash. Dude, it is out of control. So
I mean, you got to think about this really quick. It's harder to steal in video games, because even in video games, there's a thing of like, oh, it's stolen. You got to it's so funny.
So that's not even all of it. So then there's forgery. So, this doesn't really affect anything anymore because nobody writes freaking checks. But forgery, where the check of a forged check or bond does not exceed $950. So that's kind of whatever. Fraud. So same thing. Fraudulent check. Writing a bad check. So, but this is one that I didn't realize was on Prop 47. Personal use of most illegal drugs. So you can just do drugs out on the street now, and it's a misdemeanor. You're muted again. You're muted, Eric.
Why is that slipped in?
What? It doesn't fit, right? It's just
like they snuck that in there, like, oh, and you can do drugs. Well, that's like a big one. That feels like it should be its own bill.
Right. So now you got this bill, and then you've got the sanctuary state policies next to it. We don't deport people for anything. Dude, it's starting to look like, I'm wondering if an illegal immigrant commits a murder, do we deport them? I mean, I guess we probably shouldn't at that point. We should probably lock them up for a long time. But
now mind you, if you park in the wrong spot for 6 seconds, $73 ticket. Now
it's way more than that. It's usually a $200 ticket. You'll get a ticket. Do you know the meter maids that drive all over the place?
So much since I've been there.
Dude, it's insane. So they got the meter maids that are all over the place, and the meter maids don't even go out and mark your tires with chalk anymore. They have a camera. They can tell exactly where your tire is if your tire hasn't moved. Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's 2 hour, bro. People don't realize
They have a
So,
camera, bro.
listen to
Okay,
me,
yeah,
listen
the
to me,
chalk
listen
was
to me.
like the last time I left, and it was like a
People
$70
don't
ticket.
understand. People don't understand how hard it is, how impossible it is to get work done in the Pacific Heights. Pacific Heights in San Francisco, freaking Presidio Heights, all those rich neighborhoods in San Francisco. They are all 2-hour parking, and they have meter maids. All of those houses have work being done on them all day long, every day. They're rich people. They're always remodeling something. So all these houses up and down Pacific Heights, all over the place, there's construction being done on them all the time. A lot of them are completely torn, like completely gutted and redone. So you've got 50 construction vehicles on one house, right? Every single worker there, every single person that has a construction vehicle has to go out and leave the job site every 2 hours and go move their vehicle. It's impossible to find parking in San Francisco. You might be gone for an hour trying to find new parking. Do you get what I'm saying? You're there for 8 hours. You're trying to get work done. You have to. So not only is it inconvenient, you got to drop your tools and leave the job site. You got to go drive around for an hour. By the time you get back, half the day is burned. It's impossible to get shit done. And even if you're on a slight hill, so they'll get you for parking there too long. They'll get you if you don't turn your wheels to the curb like you're supposed to. $180 ticket. They also have. You can't park on this side of the street every third Thursday of every other leap year if it's a Friday. Like, you need a cipher to figure out where you can park. You're like looking at the sign, you're checking your watch. You're like, I don't know. Can I park here? Should I back up? It's impossible. And they will straight tow your shit. If you park in like a really wrong spot, they will tow your shit. I got my van towed, $780 to get it out. I got to the tow yard within 15 minutes. $780 to get it out. I think I've told you about this before. There's this whole scam where like people that are barely hanging on, they get their car jacked by the city. And then it's like their car's not even worth $780. They don't got $780. 2 hours later, it's $1,000. They have to sign their car over to the tow company. Somebody that's barely hanging on. Now all of a sudden they don't even have a car. Like, San Francisco policies make people homeless. San Francisco is awful. San Francisco is like evil in terms of its policies. Everything they do is to destroy the middle class. And with how effective it is at destroying the middle class in San Francisco, you have to ask if it's by design. I'm sorry, I think the vein's popping out. I get all worked up when I talk about that fucking city. Sorry, Shelly.
No, I mean, it is truly by design. And I mean, at least you could leave California without penalty. Oh wait, now there's a California exit tax. And
how do you enforce that, by the way?
It's not constitutional. I don't even know how it's legal, but it's California, so you better suck it up and like it.
Dude, yeah, man.
So we have 10 minutes left in the show. Is there anything you want to dive into in particular as we approach our final destination of the show? Because this has already been one of our best. Not to toot our own horn, but I'll do that for us.
There's probably something you wanted to talk about, but there's something important going on right now. There's what's her name? What's the detransitioner girl's name? Chloe Cole. Her and Billboard Chris. You know Billboard Chris out of Canada?
Yes, I do know him.
So Chloe Cole is a detransitioner. She transitioned to 15. Horror story. But her and Billboard Chris are trying to get a ballot initiative done to get it on the ballot where, here, let me just read it. So, well, I don't want to take all the time. They're trying to get a ballot initiative to where they get rid of a bunch of trans stuff. The trans sanctuary state thing. That's what it is. They're trying to get making California a trans sanctuary state. They're trying to get that on the ballot, and they're collecting signatures. So I just wanted to talk about that. So if you guys are watching, please go over to Billboard Chris's Twitter account or Chloe Cole's Twitter account, and they are trying to collect signatures for this ballot initiative. And this is pretty important. I think it's 500,000 signatures that we need to get. So they're working hard, and it's tough. They're having a tough time. So we need to get this thing on the ballot. So yeah, if you guys are watching, Chloe Cole, Billboard Chris, go over to their thing and find out what you can do to sign their petition or see if you could help circulate it. So that's basically all I got.
A trans sanctuary state. That's amazing. Like,
yeah, so people can come here and like get trans surgeries paid for by the state, from my understanding. Like
they're refugees fleeing something. Yeah, you're fleeing sanity. That's what you're doing. Going to an insane state of mind to do that to yourself. And yeah, when you meet a couple of these transitioners, it is truly tragic when they talk about how they were tricked and how it is essentially irreversible. A lot of the things that occur to them, that is a big pharma product, essentially, in one form or another, be it a actual product or a surgery. And
it's so nefarious. Like, the more you look into it, it's so nefarious. They are patients for life at that point. They are big pharma clients for life.
By patients, you mean customers. Clients. Yes. That's what they pull in. And that's why this is disturbing, because kids should not be used as pawns and mutilated on its own face. But when the profit motive comes into it as well, that's when it gets truly devious, because now people are justifying their lifestyle and, you know, the amount of cars and houses they have by mutilating kids. It's sick. And there's a reason why they need to have a trans sanctuary state. It's because most states would not do this. And so there's only a couple states that they can get away with this crap. And just like the sanctuary states now are coming home to roost and everyone's regretting their sanctuary state status. And if you go to my Twitter, I report on various politicians across the country. And right now, the big trend that I've been reporting on is the sanctuary state regret that is occurring across the country in liberal states. Yeah, they're going to soon start to regret the trans sanctuary state.
It doesn't make any logical sense, and it doesn't make it's like the why would you get rid of hand counting ballots? Why would you make that illegal? There's nothing good for the citizens of California, for kids, for any of this. It doesn't make any sense in terms of how can this be better for the population. It's the more I look into shit, the more nefarious everything looks, and then everything starts being connected, and I look like the guy with the strings and the push pins, you know. It's insane how connected shit is.
Okay, let me give you the steel man here. Devil's advocate. Yeah. They would say that the world is too is too overpopulated anyways, and this helps climate change by sterilizing.
You're not steel manning. That's not what you're doing, Eric. That's not steel manning. No. You're presenting a really bad idea as, I mean, I guess it's kind of steel manning.
You're not understanding. This is the steel man. This is rock hard blue steel. No, this is what they tell you. I know it sounds insane. No, I am not even really being disingenuous here. This is their argument. They will tell you that, you know, this is a climate change thing. Oh, now that they're not going to reproduce, we have now just improved our planet's prospects for combating climate change. You know, it's less carbon, less potential carbon. They really do see sterilization as a positive thing. In World Death Organization, our second film on the history of scientific eugenics, a leader of Planned Parenthood, the Colorado portion, describes how they pitched to the local Colorado government that if they implemented, birth control and sterilization, that they would be able to reduce their welfare costs. And they reduce welfare costs by up to 90% by giving birth control and sterilization to poor people in Colorado. This is 1965. So yeah, that is kind of the argument here, and it's expanding. It is eugenics.
The Tuskegee experiments were still going on then too.
Yes, we also covered the Tuskegee experiments at World Death Organization. We actually show you one of the best documentaries of all time. It is a documentary on the Tuskegee experiments while they're still happening. The documentary was released before the experiments finished, and it was part of how the documentary and the articles, they gathered enough fervor to where a month later, after the documentary was released, that's when the experiments ended. But they went from 1942 to November 1972, and the film we show you is from October 1972.
So for those of you, probably all of you are familiar with the Tuskegee experiments. For those of you that aren't, for 30 years, the federal government was going to primarily black neighborhoods, and they were unwillingly and they were knowingly giving primarily black men syphilis. And
and this is the part where, because like I was gonna laugh at you, like, as most of you know, and it's like, yeah, most people fall into this trap, don't worry. So they were withholding treatment from people who already had syphilis, so it's not as bad. But
they were giving people syphilis too, right?
No, but we do cover that in World Death Organization. They did that to Guatemalans. The United States Postal Service, they went to Guatemala, and it was like 3 to 4 times the scale of the Tuskegee experiments. It was like 700 Guatemalans were injected with syphilis without their knowledge and forethought. And it was because they couldn't find enough syphilis to test upon to determine if penicillin would actually be a good cure for syphilis. And so, yeah, it has happened. It's just people conflate that. The Tuskegee experience was withholding the treatment, and the treatment, and we covered at the time the treatment.
So they weren't actively giving men syphilis.
No, but so we cover this in the film. They knew at the time that if syphilis goes untreated, it becomes drastically worse and then becomes life impairing, if not life ending. And that's part of the crime of it, is they're studying something they already know. Oh, not treating this disease is bad. Who would have thunk it? You know, I mean, they were trying to determine a hypothesis that they already knew, and they were going to do that through human cruelty. And then we cover in that at the time, the thing that really confuses it is the treatment at the time was so dangerous, it was almost worse than the disease until penicillin in 1948. But even when we found the cure, quote unquote, for syphilis, we still had to do so through very unethical means, including injecting Guatemalans with syphilis in the 1940s before we actually used it on our U.S. Army and then the general public.
There used to be a TV show called Sliders. You remember a TV show called Sliders with Jared O'Connell?
No.
It's a great little show back from like the 90s. It was like in the era of the X-Files, I think. But it was a show about multiple dimensions. It was really cool. You probably would have liked it. I think it was only on for a couple of seasons, but they basically went through this wormhole that they created, this student and his professor created, and they went through it, but they got stuck. They couldn't come back out. And the only way to keep going was to go to the next dimension. So it was always a new Earth. Every episode was like a new world that they went to. Wow. And one of them was a world where everybody was sick and there was disease everywhere. It was like a Black Plague type world. And at the end of the episode, you find out they hadn't discovered penicillin. And that's how it ended, with the professor making penicillin and solving all the things. Yeah. So
that's funny. That's cool though. That's cool. It
was a good show. I really liked that show. It got a little weird towards the end, but yeah, and some of you guys in the chat.
It's like, you know, everything's kind of like a spin-off of the Twilight Zone in that genre, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
All right. Well, we're top of the hour, Eric. You got anything left?
Yeah, just check our films out, lilahart.com/documentary. We have American History of Voter Fraud and Trial of Anthony Fauci, both at 1 million+ on Twitter. Thank you guys so much. World Death Organization almost at 500,000. We're pushing up those numbers, guys. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, follow me at Twitter at Eric Abbenante. Follow my wife at Love Lila Hart. Love Lila Hart on YouTube as well. And then, like I said, lilahart.com/documentary. You'll find all our films.
All right. If you guys are in California, remember the Billboard Chris and Chloe Cole are trying to get that trans sanctuary state thing on the ballot. So if you guys could go over there and visit their Twitter accounts and see what you could do to sign that, that'd be super helpful.
And support Michael's campaign.
Yeah, folks. Anything you guys want to do. So go visit my website. If you're willing to let me put a sign in your yard, if you're in my district, I will hand deliver you a sign. I'm getting signs made soon.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's retweets of stuff that I post about my campaign. Tell a friend. This is a super grassroots effort. The guy I'm up against is rich. I'm not, obviously. So, yeah, guys. So, also, if you want to support this show, go ahead and tap the links in the show notes here. Best way to do it is click the icon next to my name in Twitter. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
And just remember, Michael Oxford stands taller than his opponent.
It's very true. It's very true.
That sounds like a campaign slogan. That's pretty good already. We're getting there. We're finding it. We're gonna find the campaign.
No, I already got it. I already got my campaign slogan. I already decided on one. I can't remember what it is.
It's fuck you no. Okay.
No, it's not. It's kind of generic, but it you could tell it's like a good focus group one. But
I don't remember what it is not very great.
That is the slogan. I don't remember. No, that should be Joe Biden's slogan. I don't remember. No, it's something like restoring independence to California or something like that. Yeah,
that's hilarious because restoring sanity to America is actually Joe Biden's.
Was that?
Yeah, for that's like his new thing he's been rolling out. Restoring sanity to America. All that crap.
There's nothing sane about what we're doing at all.
I like your campaign slogan for Biden, or just a solitary of the hair. Yeah. One of those. But I like yours. It's strong.
Come on, man. That's my slogan. All right. Well, V1800, Pete Grabber, Goat Cheese Millennial, Symbolic T, B Sizzo, Wally World, Michelle. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Much appreciated. Got anything else, Eric?
Till next time, we'll be doing this weekly. Do we know the day? Maybe it is Monday. I kind of liked it on Monday. Who knows?
I like to do my deep dives on Sunday, so that might actually work out better. I like my Sunday episode. I usually like to do a deep dive into a topic. So
at the beginning of this episode, he said dive into the topic was gay, but then he does deep dives on Sundays.
When you're at deep, it's not as gay.
All right. Well, I think you're digging a deep hole to gay China over there.
I just lost half my votes right now.
Michael is a great man. Any jokes? Please send your letters to Eric Abbenante in terms of complaints. Any compliments, send to Michael Oxford and his campaign.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm actually B Sizzle, you're over there now. I will actually be on a podcast tomorrow. This is I'll be on the California Underground podcast tomorrow at 6. So I won't be doing a show tomorrow, but I will be back here on Wednesday.
Go in the chat, go support, go say, hey, what's up from Michael? Show the grassroots effort of the mountain goats.
Yes, sir. Michelle Letter, you got it. We are back. All right. When I'm here on Wednesday, I want to hear more from you guys from Twitter. I know you guys are watching over there. So, all right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Oh, I almost forgot, Eric. I almost forgot before we get out of here. We got to tell a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. Okay, you ready? I think I've read this one before, but you haven't heard it, so I'm going to read it anyway. All right. You guys ready for the Chuck Norris joke of the evening? Here it is. All right. Chuck Norris fucked your wife while you were out of town on a business trip. Tough shit. And on that note, stay CaliBased.